We'd like to welcome you to part 4 of our current event and weekly Bible study for August 23rd, 2015. Little technical glitch there. Had to just kind of end part 3. I waited too long, I guess, between teachings, and so I have to kind of restart it on part 4 here. So, continuing where we left off, next report is 400,000 children born to illegals each year given automatic citizenship. Watchdog groups say that 400,000 children are born in the U.S. to illegal immigrants each year. If they're born on U.S. soil, they are entitled to citizenship under their warped interpretation of the 14th Amendment. Children of non-citizens who are born here can petition for legal status for their parents when they turn 21, which critics of the law say provides incentive for people to try to cross illegally into the United States in order to give birth, and obviously it does do that, and it's the whole anchor baby concept, all done by design to create yet one more huge incentive for illegals to come here illegally. And then we have 10 states and the District of Columbia now issues driver's licenses to illegal immigrants as of the summer of 2015. So now they're just flat out, 10 states are just giving them driver's licenses, according to a report from Pew Charitable Trust. And these are the states: California, Colorado, Connecticut, Illinois, Maryland, Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, Vermont, Washington, as well as Washington, D.C. All issue driver's licenses to illegal immigrants. The states are estimated to have an illegal immigrant population of 4,120,000 combined. The report says that nearly 37% of illegal immigrants live in an area where they may obtain a license. I mean, it's just, if it's wicked, if it's evil, if it's illegal, it is going to be blessed and condoned and enabled and codified into law, essentially. So, switching gears a little bit, but along the same lines as well, regarding the coming race wars, religious wars that are going to happen in America. In Waller County, Texas, armed Black Panthers March in Texas. A group of armed members of the new Black Panther Party marched in Waller County Jail Wednesday afternoon, chanting, "The revolution is on, off the pigs, and oink, oink, bang, bang," meaning they're going to kill the pigs, meaning the cops. The group of about 15 Black Panthers exercised their First and Second Amendment rights. The group was, can you imagine, though, if it was a group of, like, white Christian guys doing this or something? Or I'm just saying, I mean, give me a break. They would all be absolutely in jail and be front page news everywhere. It's just such a double standard is the whole point there. The group was met in Waller County by a large contingent of Harrison County, Houston Sheriff Office deputies in order to avoid a repeat of last weekend's disturbance, where protesters invaded the sheriff's office's foyer and engaged in disruptive behavior. Again, they did this last weekend, and they sent in about 75 deputies, including about 10 horse-mounted crowd control deputies and approximately 30 crowd control deputies in riot gear. But the thing is that when this is going on a mass scale, and you've got Islam rising up, and you've got the illegal aliens rising up, and you have the new Black Panthers rising up, there's not going to be enough cops. They're going to be so overwhelmed so quickly, that, this is just one instance. So that's what you're going to have. Then, if we go further, and again, this is all being done by design, U.S. Intel report, ISIS is planning a mass casualty attack inside the United States. Analysts in the intelligence community warned the Islamic State may be preparing, or is preparing, to carry out a mass casualty terrorist attack. I would venture to say as many as they can pull off in a close proximity to one another, rather than encouraging its international supporters to carry out lone wolf attacks. Increased competition for recruits and prestige, because they think that killing infidels is prestige, with different jihadist factions are being floated as causes for this possible shift in emphasis. Groups such as Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula typically are more focused on larger attacks, such as the massacre at Charlie Hebdo, or plots against airliners. The Islamic State may be attempting to portray itself as capable and powerful in that regard. Lieutenant General Mark Hertling told CNN, I think they're talking a lot of taking a lot of new recruits that don't have time to train, who have not been brought up in their systems, and they're using them to create the type of mass casualty which produces the media attention, which is exactly what they want, and that it shows that they're still powerful. Despite the U.S.-led bombing campaign and ISIS fighting wars um, losing thousands of fighters, the Islamic State is still estimated to have the same number of fighters as it did last year, which is 20 to 30,000. Its sophisticated recruitment methods have enabled the organization to replenish its forces as fast as their enemies can kill them. But again, we're talking 20 to 30,000 people, and the fact that they're over there beheading Christians and killing and raping and pillaging, when, I mean, it's an incredibly small number when you think about it. And the fact that we're pretty much, I mean, obviously our countries help to train them, to equip them, to arm them, and we could annihilate them easily. But, that doesn't fit the narrative, and since that's all going on, it's just continuing unabated, which again is by design, and a lot of it is by design in order to kill as many Christians as possible. It's very near and dear to Satan's heart that happens. So its sophisticated recruitment methods have enabled the organization to replenish its forces as fast as the enemies can kill them. And then we have the next report. ISIS group issues chilling warning to America. Representative for a pro-Islamic State hacking group issued a chilling warning to members of the U.S. military and the government Wednesday, promising that very, very soon the followers of the organization would retaliate for overseas bombing targeting the terror organization. I mean, they have it so tough, ISIS. I mean, they're over there raping, killing, pillaging, stealing, selling off the sex slaves, raping little girls, stuff like that. And, but they're going to retaliate because, we have so oppressed them and been terrible to them, and just, we all need to die because of that. And all they can do is commit atrocities every single day. And that's all ignored, though. That's all fine. That's all good because it's done for Allah. And that's fine. Just, it's the hypocrisy of Islam is just, it knows no bounds. Speaking to the Blaze using a smartphone messenger application Kik, a representative for the Islamic State hacking division said the group is constantly spying on U.S. servicemen. The organization on Tuesday published personal information purporting to belong to the U.S. military and government online. They said, quote, just like they spy on Muslims, we are spying on them. Watching their employees, watching their soldiers, recording their movement. Now they're talking about our soldiers here in the U.S. And taking their location information and passing it on to soldiers in the Islamic State. Like I've been saying, they've been compiling databases of where our servicemen live, where their families live, where the policemen live, where everybody in having anything to do with the military live. And they've been doing this for who knows how long at this point. And they're flat out telling you they're doing this here. And when you have all of these Muslims in high places in our government, with Obama's czars and of these various people, and the fact that Obama was raised a Muslim, they're doing nothing to stop this. In fact, they're the ones that are enabling this to happen, all by design. So they're recording their information, taking their location information, and passing it on to soldiers of the Islamic State. The anonymous male member told the Blaze. And then he says they have no security, just like their employees and military personnel have no OPSEC, meaning operational security, I believe. He continued, they are people who like to brag and boast, and this is to our advantage. Oh, like they don't do that. Then he goes on to say the brothers don't need to attack them in military bases or secured buildings, the hacking group member added. They can now turn up in their houses. So I'm saying this to any military that I would have, if you're not aware of this, or people in law enforcement. This is what they're doing, and this is what they say they're going to do, and this is what they're being able to do by our government, which has 100% the capability to catch these devils They're just not doing it, and they're not doing it on purpose. The same reason they've let these terror cells foment and grow on American soil for literally decades. They're waiting to be green lighted when they wage all out holy, unholy jihad against the infidels and kill and maim as many people as they can in order so that they can have their 72 virgins and white-skinned boys in paradise. Even though all of them are only going to plunge into a devil's hell for all of eternity. They're going to have a real rude awakening. So I'm telling you right now, this is what they're saying. He says, quote, they can now turn up in their houses. Why? Because they have so much of their personal information, including their home addresses and these things. So they can now turn up in their houses, in their homes. This is a war. What did you expect? You think you can bomb the Islamic State and we do nothing back? I know they've been so oppressed. They just haven't been able to rape, kill, steal, and pillage enough. Soon, very soon, you will see us. When asked exactly what you could expect to see, he says, soon, the member replied. You will see when the U.S. military and the government personnel start getting beheaded in their homes. So I'm flat out telling you, anybody you know in the military or in law enforcement, they need to know this. You know, they flat out need to know this. They're saying they're going to be beheaded in their homes. And if they behead them, they're going to behead their family. In fact, they're probably going to rape them and their children before they get beheaded. They're probably going to rape, kill, steal, pillage, and then behead their family in front of the man of the house, if they can get that kind of control over them. And then when they're done, then they'll kill him. That's what they want to do. They want to inflict maximum humiliation and agony on Americans. When asked exactly when you could expect to see it, he said soon. The individual said that his group targets government employees as well as military members because their kufr, which means disbelief, makes their blood halal, meaning acceptable. Halal is acceptable. All those products we have now in the supermarkets that have that little Islamic thing, that means it's halal. That means it's like kosher for an Islamic person to eat. That's why I don't buy anything with that on there. That and other reasons that I've done. Just key in halal, Halal, in the keyword search box at contendingfortruth.com. I've done a couple studies on that, how it's basically, particularly the meat has been sacrificed to Allah. I believe they say Allah Akbar as they're killing. Even if it's a recording playing, still, that's what it means. At least on the meat. On the cheese and on the other stuff and on things that are not, it's something different. But it's dedicated to Islam. So, let's go further here. Next report. A Twitter account claiming to be the IS hacking division has published what appears to be an extensive directory of government emails, passwords, credit cards, phone numbers, and addresses spanning U.S. military departments and divisions, the FBI, the U.S. embassies, the Library of Congress, city U.S. officials, the British Embassy, the FTC. So they're coming after more than just military. I think they'd go after the military first, and then these would be secondary targets. And NASA, as well as possible personnel at Wells Fargo. And VentureBeat is able to confirm that the U.S. Department of Defense is looking into this alleged hack. We've also independently verified that at least several of the items included on that list contain accurate information, but that several of the people were not aware that the leak had occurred. And my comment is, this would make the Muslim Obama very happy, because they don't want government officials or the military or the police or anybody in defense of this country or working in governmental capacity. They don't want them to know about this. They want you to be totally ignorant of this. Upon our contacting the U.S. Department of Defense, a spokesperson acknowledged the alleged leak, telling VentureBeat, "We are certainly looking into it, but I don't have anything more than that." Boy, oh boy, they're really going after it, I can tell. Later, the spokesperson shared, "We've also reached out to dozens of phone numbers listed in the document. We spoke with members of the Utah National Air National Guard, the U.S. African Development Foundation, and the U.S. Central Command Center. Now, see, when this goes down, when they're green-lighted, they're going to try to really do this as quickly as they can at once, because they know that most likely in a very short period of time, and hopefully the communications will still be up. We haven't been hit with an EMP by that point, where this is going to spread like wildfire, obviously, and then people are going to go into full lock and load mode. And they're not going to be breaking into houses and doing what they think they're going to be doing. You know, they're going to be getting mowed down in droves, most likely. Because this is the most well-armed country on the planet, and it's most well-armed country on the planet in probably any time era. You know, thanks to, in large part, to Obama, who is, the gun sales and all of the concealed carry permits and the training that's been done by a ton of different people, you know. So, let's go further here. We've also reached out to dozens of phone numbers listed in the document. We spoke with members of the Utah National Air. Okay, I already said that, sorry. All three confirmed that at least a portion of the sensitive information included was accurate. They also confirmed that the listed government affiliation is accurate. We aren't naming them because of the sensitivity of the leak and the potential security clearances. At the bottom of this document is a series of screen caps prefaced with a warning from ISIS saying, "We are watching you. You have zero OPSEC," meaning operational security. See that, and see with what they were able to pull off with one guy at the Tennessee Recruiting Center, there's no operational security. They're all disarmed. So, excuse me, that's all by design. And so that just emboldens them even more. You have zero OPSEC. This is just 1% of what we know. So, in other words, they just released 1% of what they know. They just want to let our military and our law enforcement and people like that know that this is just 1% of what we know about. You're done. You're history. You're toast, and we're coming for you. That's what they want to do. They're just like the devil, just trying to instill all kind of fear of man in their adversary. We have reached out to the U.S. Army, Facebook, and Twitter to further verify the veracity of these accounts. Next report. Active duty U.S. Marines instructed to back down from fight. So this is the other side of the coin, where the Marines and the people in the military on our U.S. soil are being disarmed, and all of their personal information is being allowed to get leaked to ISIS, to these Islamic terror groups, so that they'll know exactly where they're at. So Obama and the Illuminati, the New World Order, via Satan, is doing everything it can possibly do to set America up for absolute total annihilation, is what I'm looking at here. Just looking at, today. I mean, I just in the short period of time I've been doing this, I keep going back and checking the reports that are coming out, and North Korean subs have now left their bases, and 30 subs can't be accounted for. They're North Korea and South Korea in the Virgin War. Now, I know that's been said a lot of times, but they're really, really, really close. I mean, dozens of North Korean subs left their stations this week, cannot be located. This is the largest development of subs since the Korean War. The Gateway Pundit is reporting that North Korea has sent out a massive fleet of submarines. 50 of them remains unknown where these subs are and where they're going. One thing for sure, those subs pose a lights out to America threat via an EMP blast from a North Korean sub. North Korea and South Korea are totally right now in a standoff, evidently. Warning America, financial crisis 2015, dollar collapse, CIA insider leaks. I'm just looking at all this. Monday, which is tomorrow, could be a real big day. They're saying it could potentially be Black Monday. I don't know. It says prepare this weekend because Monday could take many by surprise. I'm hoping to have this newsletter or email up tonight, but most people obviously aren't going to listen to it by the time I get it up. Anyway, it's just a lot of posturing here and a lot of things that we could be right on the cusp of, and it breaks so quick. I mean, I can't even do a study now before I'm literally in the middle of a study, and I've got all these stories breaking that I can't cover. That's how bad it's gotten. So here we have this particular report. This is posted by John Farnham Training International Inc. They train in defense training firearms. Active duty U.S. Marines instructed to back down from fight. A friend on active duty sent me this today. It is an advisory email to an active duty USMC troopers, active duty United States Marine Corps troopers. If they're not shooting, an advisory emailed to active duty Marine Corps troopers. If they're, and this is what they're being told, if they are not shooting, do what they say and do not move. So in other words, if an Islamic person, terrorist, comes in, and if they're not shooting, do what they say and do not move. Well, if they are shooting, it's going to be a little too late, because so they tell you to line up, face the wall, grasp the back of your head, or lay down so they can shoot you in the back of the head. It might be a little bit too late, but that's what they're being told to do, because obviously they only want the best for us. So if they are not shooting, do what they say. And they can have a gun in their hand, I guess. They can have bazookas, but if they're not shooting, do what they say and do not move. Only you can draw the line on what you will do or not do to preserve your life and the lives of others, like they care about that. If shooting starts, you need to make your own choice. Yeah, sit there and deliberate it as the bullets fly into your body. I wonder what I should do now. Stay still and hope they don't shoot, or run for an exit in a zigzag. Now that is courageous, amazing stuff here. This is what they're being told to do. Okay? This is not a recommendation to fight. Of course not. No, 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 no. Stay still. Hope they don't shoot or run for an exit in a zigzag. But a choice to fight when there is no other options. Oh, the humanity. Isn't that special? What dishonorable, sickening, intelligence insulting drivel. This is the guy writing the report. Marines are told it is okay to fight, but only after terrorists start shooting, and even then they may not fight effectively. Only terrorists get to be armed, and Marines are instructed to cooperatively do anything the terrorists demand. I mean, basically act like cowards until the moment they start shooting. However, when you wait until they start shooting, obviously you've waited too long and most likely you're dead. But it's okay to hope they don't murder you as you cower in a corner. My friend adds, I'm disgusted with what passes as leadership in our military today. And again, this is all coming from the highest echelons down, so that they're trying to ensure that our military is going to have as gelded of a response as possible when the bullets start flying, so that there will be maximum carnage when the Islamic terror cells are green lighted, and the Mexican drug cartels and every other devil who is going to be green lighted, essentially. And that way they'll have maximum carnage at the beginning and hopefully take out as many of our good military people as possible. And that way it'll get their numbers down real quickly, because that's the plan by our illustrious government in Obama, because this is exactly what they want. Now let's go further here. Okay, so he says, I'm disgusted by what passes as leadership in our military today. From the foregoing, you can see that we're under the charge of a cowardly group of uninformed politicians who may qualify as managers, but are definitely not leaders. We have no respect for them personally nor professionally. My comment, nor should you. I'm disgusted too. U.S. Marines are cynically instructed to, quote, draw the line, but never given anything from which to draw it. When forcibly disarmed by your superiors and facing armed terrorists, how does one draw the line? That part of the plan is, it's almost like, yeah, they're already disarmed. Okay? And now we're going to say, well, don't shoot, do nothing, do whatever they say, and if at worst, run like a coward and zigzag as you exit. I mean, they're trying to ensure maximum carnage of our military. Going further here, the part of the plan is curiously left unexplained in the foregoing advisory. U.S. Marines are now instructed to not even wear their uniforms, as that might provoke the Islamic terrorists and offend liberals as well. Back in the day, we were all armed, officially or otherwise. Our mantra was, we were U.S. Marines, everybody fights, nobody quit. Okay, sorry, back to the report here. Our mantra was, we're U.S. Marines, everybody fights, nobody quits. Those days are apparently long gone. Today we are told our enemies are invincible, and so resistance is futile. Number two, we can't be trusted with guns. And number three, hope is our official and only approved strategy. Hope of the terrorists that they're going to do the right thing. So disgusting hardly does it justice. This came right out of the publication Ammo Land. Online instructions. So yeah, this is some awesome stuff that's going on here in the military. And I know it sounds so unbelievable that could be it's not a farce report. This is a real report that I'm looking at here. And I mean, there's not one person in the comment saying that this is a bogus report. This is actually a real report. Everybody is confirming this, and all of them cannot believe. A lot of them are former military of what is actually going on. It's just they're all in disbelief essentially. Every article report. So then let's go further. Next report: ISIS-led paramilitary forces are probing U.S. defenses in preparation for a major attack. There are claims that are going to be made in this article that will, on the surface, seem to be quite unbelievable, just like my last report. However, the facts have established that ISIS and their partners, Hamas, remember, they're yoked up together. This is going to be a joint venture. You're going to have like the new Black Panthers. You're going to have the Islam. You're going to have the Black Muslims that were particularly cultivated in the prison system in America. Okay, yoking up with the just flat out Middle Eastern Muslims, yoking up then with the Hamas, Sinaloa, Zeta, Sanchez Paredes drug cartels, yoking up with the Mexican gangs, yoking up with the street gangs in America, the black street gangs and the Mexican and the Central American street gangs, more than likely, those. And you're going to have that. You're going to have the biggest race war, religious race war, because a lot of them are obviously going to be Muslims who are going to obviously have a religious motivation, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend, so they're going to be yoking up with all of these people. They're going to be getting on the same page, and I'm sure the government's going to help. The wicked factions of our government are going to help that to make that happen, and they are. And this is all that we're documenting. How this all being set up. They're being given databases of their addresses, of their emails, of their phone numbers. They probably have all different kind of ways that they're going to be tracking. They're doing all this stuff ahead of time to establish these databases. And when they're green lighted, it's going to be it's going to be so horrific. I mean, I'm just left speechless on what we're being set up for in this country. The facts have established that ISIS and their partners, Hamas, Sinaloa, Zeta, Sanchez Paredes, have penetrated into the United States and have set up deep cover residence. And we already just looked at in the previous parts of all of them penetrating 70 miles, the Mexican drug cartels into the border, and I mean this extensive crime network that's already here. So the latter fact is not surprising. What is surprising is that ISIS has engaged the U.S. military, and that the U.S. military has engaged an ISIS-led conglomeration of terror groups on U.S. soil. In the first part of this article, the case supporting a strong ISIS presence on American soil is made. In the second part of the article, the case for the engagement of ISIS-led forces is offered. John Moore and Dan Page's assertion that ISIS was a motivating force in the Ferguson riots was supported by the following photo and two tweets. And here we have Ferguson. This is when it was going down the first time last year. ISIS is here. I mean, there's a big sign up that says ISIS is here. Okay. ISIS is here sign behind Jake Tapper, he's trying to interview some guy, and he's literally right behind him is a guy with an ISIS is here sign. And then somebody named Abu Ottoman at the time said, blacks in Ferguson, there is an alternative to this indignity. See, they're appealing. Our government is trying, Obama and our government is trying to create this race war between blacks and whites, okay, to create all this racial division. And then every time a black guy is shot by a white cop, it's front page news, but white people that are being attacked at a 39-to-1 ratio, and that's never news. It's not even worthy of anything. So they're trying to incite the black races to hate the whites, to view them as the source of all evil, through their biased, one-sided reporting. And I'm not saying no atrocities ever happen to black people. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying it's such a disproportionate, hypocritical ratio of how they're doing their reporting. Okay? And then you've got guys like this in ISIS in the Muslim community, and again, they've already recruited tons and tons of blacks into the Muslim devil death cult via the prison system. And that's all about going against the white races to further create and foment this white on black, white on Hispanic race war. He says, blacks in Ferguson, there's an alternative to this indignity. Pick yourselves up with Islam. Like IS in Iraq. IS or ISIS. So, it's just so easy to see how this is going to play out most likely. As you get ready to watch football, realize that they are here. They exploit every situation, and they are recruiting our youth. Between John Moore's warning and the visual evidence, there is no doubt that ISIS has established their presence in places like St. Louis, Ferguson, really and elsewhere. And then we have the Pam Geller Draw a Profit event. How quickly forget about Pam Geller's Draw a Profit event in Richardson, Texas. These are all points proving ISIS is here. Okay. In which 2 ISIS members traveled from Phoenix to Texas intent on killing everyone at the event, but were fortunately stopped by local law enforcement, and ISIS claimed responsibility for an attack on American soil. So, we have that, and let me see here. Then we have ISIS taking credit for the Garland, Texas attack. And then we have a sleeper cell assassin, Mohammed Yosef Abdulaziz, who murdered 4 American servicemen in the recruiting center on the first day of Helm exercises. I just emphasized that earlier. The attack on American military recruiters in Chattanooga, Tennessee, was carried out with sophisticated military precision. He carried out a diversion attack to draw law enforcement into one area so he could carry out his primary attack 7 miles away. The diversion bought him the time he needed to carry out the execution of these unarmed servicemen. The height of insanity. Unarmed servicemen on our own soil. Of course, ISIS wasted no time claiming responsibility for this heinous crime. This ISIS tweet connected to the Chattanooga attacks on military computers said, "Taste the blood of Americans are very good." They might need to work on their English a little more. And so, yeah, they're claiming that, being real proud. Here is a ISIS base camp near El Paso. I've talked about this one. ISIS base camp 8 miles from El Paso, Texas. Source Judicial Watch. ISIS is operating a camp miles from El Paso, Texas, according to Judicial Watch sources. These are all referenced reports that I'm citing. That includes a Mexican Army field grade officer and a Mexican Federal Police inspector, meaning Mexican police, and I don't know about military, actually working with ISIS in order to bring this all about. Yet President Obama is completely ignoring this fact. This is a monumental national security issue, and all we hear from Obama administration officials are the proverbial crickets chirping. Obama is willing to chase ISIS into Syria and risk a confrontation with Russia, but he ignores the well-documented ISIS base camp, and this is just one of them we know about, which is located mere miles from the border of El Paso, Texas. So we have that going on. So is there any doubt that ISIS is here and that they are probing our defenses before the final attack? Well, again, they didn't even mention all of the Islamic terror sleeper cells that are literally here, where we know where their bases are on American soil, that have been here for decades, that I've reported on many times in the past. They're not even mentioning that. They didn't even mention all of the thousands of Islamic terrorists and Muslims that are coming into this country, that we're bringing into this country basically every month, that we've reported on. They're pouring in. They're just, and they won't allow any of the Christians in, though. The ones that are being persecuted and beheaded and killed. We're going to talk about that next, a little bit later. They won't allow any of them in. No. They have to stay there and get beheaded and killed, because that's what needs to happen to the Christians. But let's bring in every wicked, evil devil from that are Muslims into the country unabated. And let's not screen them. Let's do none of that. Let's just let them come in. That's exactly what they're doing, and we have documented that over and over again. So, is there any doubt that ISIS is here and they were probing our defenses before the final attack? Last week, I published a story which detailed the interconnection between most major Middle Eastern terror groups and the drug cartels and gangs like MS-13, which is the largest drug and arms shipping cartel in the world, and the Sanchez Paredes, as well as most of the other Mexican drug cartels who are receiving paramilitary training in San Salvador. And again, so they're getting military training, these drug cartels. So it says training for what? Many are thinking that they're training for military incursions into the United States. Yep, they sure are. And then we have Paul Martin contacted me last night to inform me that a Weld County sheriff had confided in him that he knew for a fact that ISIS was both in Greeley and in Cheyenne, Wyoming. No other details were conveyed. However, this is very interesting because the Montfort meatpacking plant was routinely raided by the federal government for hiring a massive amount of illegal aliens. In this present administration, no such raid would ever take place, though, because Obama has opened the floodgates to illegal immigrants, both from Mexico, Central America, and in Muslim countries, particularly, and China, too. The Montfort plant would be an ideal location for terrorists posing as immigrants to work and build a staging area from which to launch their future operations. Documented recent history serves to support this notion. So the conclusion is it is clear that we look at the current events and combine them with past events that the terrorist organizations with paramilitary training would cross a border like any other immigrant, only these immigrants have dire intentions. Then let's go further and slightly switch gears here. And this is Bombshell, UN to allow Iran to inspect its own military sites. So I'm just doing all this to dramatize how much our government, particularly the Obama administration, is greasing the skids to make every single bit about what I am going over happen. It's all by design, it's all planned, and it's all being done for maximum annihilation of the law-abiding citizenry of America and our military and our police and law enforcement and this type of stuff. They want to take it all. I believe they would really like to take them all out eventually. Here is a picture of Foreign Minister Mohammed Javad Zarif, and as he's laughing toward the end of a nuclear negotiation in Vienna. He should be laughing. They feel like they've totally got everything they've wanted, and we just keep giving them more. Dropping a bombshell on the Iranian nuclear agreement negotiated by the U.S. along with other world powers in Iran, the AP has disclosed, Associated Press, has disclosed that Iran will be allowed to use its own inspectors in sites suspected of military development of nuclear weapons. So now we're not even going to send in like UN inspectors or anybody from America. No, they'll be allowed to inspect their own because we know Iran will police itself and do the right thing. This same Iran that chants death to America and that it's the great Satan and annihilate Israel and drive all of them into the sea and annihilate all the infidels, rape, kill, steal, and pillage. That's the same Iran that we're trusting to inspect its own nuclear facilities, and especially the ones that are in the development of nuclear weapons, because we know they will do the right thing. The revelation comes from a document seen by the AP regarding two parts of the agreement that were kept secret. As per the agreement, two passages were negotiated separately between the International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, and a UN agency in Iran that were to remain secret. The secret parts of the deal concern inspections of the Parkan military installation, which has long been under suspicion for years for conducting research on nuclear weapons and long-range ballistic missiles. The second secret deal centers on separate negotiations to resolve the issue of possibly military dimensions of Iran's nuclear program. Neither the Congress, the Secretary of State, or the U.S. President can view the secret annexes of the deal according to the negotiated agreement, even though we just gave them, on top of all these concessions, a $150 billion, and we can't see any of it, though. I mean, it just keeps getting gooder and gooder, every day. Oh, sorry. Anyway. Okay, so then the next report. Iran amasses troops to destroy Jerusalem. New regime video. While the U.S. Congress mulls the nuclear deal with Iran that opens up 150 billion to the extremist regime, and that money is so well spent because we couldn't have used that money to help the Christians that are being killed, annihilated, raped, um, raped and pillaged over there. No, let's give 150 billion to make sure that Iran is happy. That is money well spent. And again, it'll be money that will ensure more carnage of the Christians that remain there, more annihilation of anybody that doesn't agree exactly with the most radical elements of Islam, and then ensure also the absolute total invasion of Israel so that they can supposedly and hopefully kill all of them. That's not going to happen biblically, but that's what their intentions are, and that's why we gave them all that money. Exactly. So while the U.S. Congress mulls the nuclear deal with Iran that opens up 150 billion to the extremist devil regime, Tehran is ramping up its genocidal calls against the state of Israel, as well as threatening America. Boy, that money didn't placate them very much, but boy, they sure are ungrateful. A video released this month by the regime shows a mock-up of the amassing of thousands of troops loyal to the Islamic Republic on the outskirts of Jerusalem. Really well, done. As far as, the videography or whatever. I watched the thing, and I give you a link here if you want to watch it. And they're amassing on the outskirts of Jerusalem, titled in Persian, Preparation of the Complete Destruction of Israel by the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, Islamic Revolution Iran. Now, can you imagine if Israel released a video like that against Iran? It would be front page news everywhere in the planet. But no, this is fine to do. You didn't even see this on the news at all, right? No. The animated video below shows soldiers gathering together with their weapons, helmets, books, and kafiyas, whatever that is. Some from Revolutionary Guards, some from Iranian-backed Iraqi Shia Badr organization, and others from Hezbollah, Hamas, and Qassam brigades. Now, like I had said for a long time, in the end, Islam is going to all be on the same page, because the most radical elements that are united for the destruction of Israel and the great Satan, as they refer to as America, they're all going to put their differences aside in the end, I believe, and get on the same page, because they're going to have a united enemy. They're going to be able to agree on that. The video was produced by the Islamic Revolution Design House. Proof that money from the nuclear deal will end up funding terror was found in the Iranian leader's Ayatollah Khomeini's latest tweet, which we see below on his Twitter accounts, which promised support for terror organizations, Hamas, Hezbollah, among others, for fighting Israel. So see, this money, this 150 billion we just gave them, and all these nuclear concessions, they're going to definitely do the right thing with it, obviously, and they're going to be good boys, and good little satanic boys and girls, and they're going to do the right thing. Khomeini says in this tweet, and I'm looking right at it, "We spare no opportunity to support anyone fighting the Zionists. We support resistance in the Palestine and the region, and to take all possible means to support anyone who fights Israel and is against the Zionist regime and supports resistance." So, the Iranian regime's continual threats against Israel were also manifest in a video released by Al-Alam, an Iranian TV network, in which militants from the Gaza branch of Fatwa's Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade were interviewed while they stood inside a tunnel from which they intended to attack Israel. Now, I've told you about these tunnels they found before. Well, this is another one they were standing in. The brigade claimed the tunnel runs 2 miles and opens inside of Israel. So now, I would venture to say that when this stuff all goes down, and when all of this horrific stuff is green-lighted, which could literally be next month, okay, and this stuff goes down in America, where they green-light all the Islamic terrorist cells and all the Mexican drug cartels and the Black Panthers and all this other stuff, that Israel is going to be getting attacked at the exact same time by just basically mostly an Islamic army. Okay, and we've done the Obama regime has done everything on the planet to make sure they're as well armed and well equipped and well funded as possible. Okay, so that's a feather in his satanic cap. The brigade claimed this tunnel runs 2 miles and opens inside of Israel. Palestinian Media Watch notes that the announcement that Fatah's Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade, intentionally recognized as a terror organization, is asking for money from Iran comes at the same time that the Palestinian Authority has announced that Mahmoud Abbas will be visiting Iran. So they're all going there with their hand out. All the Muslims in that region that want to annihilate Israel are going to Iran to get some of this new 150 billion bucks, so that they'll have, whatever they need to have in order there to get in there and annihilate Israel. As the organization previously reported, senior PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization official Abbas Zaki, said strengthening ties with Iran is an inevitable step if we, the Palestinians, want to confront the Israeli occupation. See, they're occupiers. They have no right to be there. This tiny little sliver of land in the Middle East, and just, they're the source of all evil. They're they've given up all this land. They've given up over half of what they originally took with their occupation in the war that they fought originally. They've given up all of this land, and every time they give up the land, they just move the rockets in closer. So I see this is all going down pretty much at the same time here. Let's go further here. Next report. In Maine, this is in Maine, the United States, 3 Somali Muslim immigrants brutally murder a citizen in his home. Judge quickly seals the case from public view. So here we have pictured the 49-year-old healthcare worker, Freddie Akoa, and he is in Portland, Maine. He's dead now. Authorities in Portland, Maine have arrested 3 Muslim Somali American men in connection with the brutal killing of a man inside his apartment, then moved quickly to seal the case from public view. Of course, because they can't paint, any of these Muslims in a bad light. Police arrested Abil Trezom Muhammad, which is nice. That's a good name, Muhammad, and Osman Sheikh, on Thursday, all 3 charged with the brutal murder of 49-year-old healthcare worker Freddie Akoa. And he looks like a real nice guy. He's dead now. Police have provided almost no information on the killing, not the cause of death, not the type of weapon used, nor any possible motive for the killing. I'm sure there's who knows what the motive was. I mean, they're all Islamic. I'm sure that it was puritanical, their intentions. They even refused to release prison mugshots of the suspects, which is also common. I talked about that in Detroit when they did that recently, with those 6 those 6 black guys that were going around gang raping the couples on the streets in Detroit. They won't even release the mugshots, because if it doesn't fit their narrative, then they're going to suppress it. And what they're trying to do is keep as much of a lid on that information, that satanic information, until the time that all this is green-lighted, and then it's not going to matter. But see, up until that time, they want to try to, it's like this lid that's boiling, and you got all this satanic water underneath boiling, and they're just trying to smash down the lid and keep it under that lid until the time that they're told to release it. And that's why they're doing this. All 3 are charged with the murder of 49-year-old healthcare worker Freddie Akoa. Police have provided no information on the killing. The Associated Press and local TV stations failed to identify the 3 suspects by their country of origin or race. Of course, they're not going to point it out either. Now, more current headlines read, Muslim terrorist asylum seeker beheads IKEA shopper in Sweden. So the Swedish government and the media are doing their best to conceal. Again, we have this big cover-up worldwide of any Muslim terrorist crimes. Overall, I mean, they get more of a free pass than anybody on the planet. Muslim terrorists, okay? They're doing their best to conceal any evidence that the Muslim Itrian knife attackers. I guess Itrian is the region where they're from, evidently. Muslim Itrian knife attackers who killed 2 people in IKEA, a mother and her her son, I don't know how old her son were Muslims. But an independent photo obtained below appears to show that at least one of the victims was beheaded in the store. So hey, you go to IKEA, you might get your head chopped off, hacked off, and your family. So it's part of the shopping experience at IKEA now. Thanks to Vlad Tepes, we now have a photo that the mainstream media will not post. Nothing is yet to be confirmed, but expect more to come out about this apparent Islam-inspired beheading of two infidels. Of course, police were quick to point out that they didn't think the murders were politically motivated. Well, they probably weren't politically motivated. They were religiously motivated by Islam. And we're going to see why. This story explains itself. Police in central Sweden have increased security. Get this. The police have increased security at the Muslim asylum seekers' lodgings, fearing a backlash after two Eritrean asylum seekers were detained on suspicion of murdering two people at an IKEA store. So they're not doing anything to protect the Swedish population from the Muslims. They're going to where the Muslims live, the terrorists essentially, and they're making sure they're beefing up security there so that the poor, innocent, puritanical Muslims don't have any backlash come on them. Because obviously, they're the ones that need to be protected, these illegal alien Muslims that are there and killing and beheading people and raping, because Sweden is now the rape capital of the world, essentially. And they're going to protect the Muslims, though. Police said there was no evidence of any political motive. None. Not at all. I mean, at all. The victims did not have any connection to their attackers, the police said. The store temporarily halted knife sales as the attackers used knives from the shelves there. So see, there was knives there, and that was the knives' fault that the Muslim terrorist went in there and hacked off a couple shoppers' heads, and so they halted the knife sales there. That was their solution to it, which is brilliant, because obviously IKEA is the only one that sells knives on the planet, so they're the only place you can get it. So obviously that's the most brilliant solution you could possibly ever come up with. Security camera footage from the brutal attack reportedly shows the 35-year-old man grabbing two knives from the kitchenware section just before two shoppers are attacked. He is seen stabbing and then hacking at the neck of one victim. The lady is, I'm assuming, according to the Swedish newspaper Aftonbladet. The government has blocked any footage from being released in order to quell Islamophobia. Oh, we can't have Islamophobia. And for 2 full days, they would not permit the police from even telling the public a Muslim was involved. I mean, I thought it was bad here. I mean, it's so bad over there, it just defies even comprehension. They were using those 2 full days, using that time to deploy troops to protect the centers where Muslim migrants are publicly housed. If this isn't the most disgusting, despicable, evil garbage. The Express reports the suspect had met with migration officials just hours before the attack and was soon to be deported. So he reportedly got another Muslim, Eritrean, to join him in the IKEA attack because he's like, well, I'm going to be deported. I got to go kill as many infidels as possible. Which was actually, which they're saying, which was likely religiously or ethnically motivated out of anger. Oh, you think? Both victims were white native Swedes who had done nothing to them. This is how evil these devils are. Then we have the next report, 15-year-old pregnant Swedish girl taken hostage by ISIS. Again, it's basically the rape capital of the world. And they go after they really like to rape the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Swede girls. That's what one of their main targets are. And then we have this report. This will warm your heart. ISIS straps an 11-year-old Yazidi girl. I have a picture of her right here. They strap an 11-year-old Yazidi girl on the hood of a U.S.-made Humvee as a human shield before entering battle. I'm not making this stuff up. These people are evil Satan incarnate. They should be running all the Planned Parenthood clinics in America. They would make a wonderful fit in the Planned Parenthood. They could kill all the infidel babies all day long and you know, make more money for their ISIS-sponsored terrorists. They'd be great to hook up with all the witches and the warlocks and the lesbians at Planned Parenthood. I think it'd be a match made in hell. A depraved Islamic State militant used an 11-year-old sex slave, there's a picture of her, poor thing, as a human shield by strapping her to the bonnet of his car, basically the hood of his car, while driving into battle. What a courageous man's man. What a man among boys to strap an 11-year-old girl on because you're such a stinking coward. Evidently, you don't think... you think that nobody will shoot back because there's an 11-year-old girl strapped to your thing, which, you know, is reasonable to think that. But can you imagine the cowardice of this stinking devil that would do something like this? The terrified girl was left screaming for her life after being tied to the windscreen of a Humvee military vehicle to protect her captor from enemy gunfire. I mean, cowardice isn't... that's not strong enough word for this. When she is not being paraded through war zones, the Yazidi child is repeatedly raped by the fanatic, activists have revealed. The girl is among 3,750 prisoners from the minority sect who were captured during the terror group's brutal uprising through northern Iraq last year. Many have been sold at slave markets, destined for a life of sickening abuse at the hands of their Muslim captors. A lawyer who runs the group has rescued more than 1,000 Yazidis from the ISIS through a network of informers. Godspeed and God bless that lawyer. That was said by the girl who's still being held by her captor. He told the Sun news network, I guess he talked to her and he had some way of getting through to her, and she said, or the lawyer said, he rapes her. She told me herself over the phone. That's, you know, he rapes her over and over. When he isn't strapping her on the hood of his Humvee going into battle. I just, you can't even comprehend this level of evil. Speaking on a visit to the refugee camp in Iraq to highlight their ordeal, the 73-year-old said, this is the lawyer, the stories are mere images of the foulest stories from Beslan and Auschwitz concentration camps. It's a rerun of the stories I heard growing up in a post-World War II as a child. This is Hitler and Stalin all wrapped up together. Actually, it's almost worse. I mean, some of this stuff, I've never even heard of this level of wickedness and evil in my life. One victim, a mother of 3, named Cadilia, who managed to escape, told how the disabled and elderly women were separated for prisoner swaps, and that the virgins were also singled out, and that their fate can also be death for those who disobey. Just last week, it emerged that ISIS fanatics had executed 19 women for refusing to have sex with its fighters. 19 women were dead. She also verified a disturbing ISIS document which suggested the extremists sell the Yazidi and Christian women and children which they have abducted, with girls aged 1 to 9 years old fetching the most money. That's who gets the most money. 1 to 9 years old. And guess what? I got a copy of it right here in the PDF for your perusal. ISIS's despicable price list for Yazidi and Christian sites. It's in Arabic, but here's a translation. This is a translated version, was shared online by humanitarian and Peace Prize winner Dr. Walid Akawi, and reads as follows. We have received news that the demand in women and cattle, so the women are sold at the cattle market. It's a women and cattle market. Okay? They're being sold together, just so you know. Where are all the feminist groups and the women groups worldwide when this is happening to women? The demand in women and cattle market has sharply decreased, and that will affect the Islamic State revenues, as well as the funding of the Mujahideen in the battlefield. Therefore, we have made some changes. Below are the new prices for Yazidi and Christian women. The price for Yazidi or Christian women between the age of 40 and 50 is $43 a piece. The price for 30 to 40-year-olds is $75. The price for 20 to 30-year-olds is $86. The price for 10 to 20-year-olds is $130, whereas the price of 1 to 9-year-olds is $172 a head. Customers are allowed to purchase only 3 items, with the exception of customers from Turkey, Syria, and Gulf countries, because they get evidently preferential treatment. Dated and sealed by ISIS in Iraq, October 16, 2014. So yeah, that's the kind of garbage that we have going on over there, and we're just getting cranked up here. I'm out of time on this part. I'm going to go to part 5 next. God bless you, and see you in part 5.